Guns, crime, blood, and money. The sons of drug lord and Sinaloa kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman have no restraints when it comes to flaunting their jaw-dropping wealth and power all over social media. With El Chapo currently serving a life sentence at ADX Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado, the power struggle for the post of his successor is a fickle and bloody affair, with the biggest contender being his eldest living son, Ivan Archivaldo Guzman. With three other brothers and senior cartel lieutenants like longtime Sinaloa cartel bosses Ismael El Mayo Zambada and Damasio Lopez to contend with, Ivan is in for one heck of a power tussle. You should know, however, that the heir to the drug trafficking empire isn't always about business. He also takes out time to let the rest of us know that we are nowhere near his father's $12 billion net worth by sharing pictures of his luxurious cars, private jets, and exotic pets on social media. With a knack for violence and the bravado of a spoiled prince, Ivan Archivaldo might make or break his father's empire if he can keep the crown on his head and his head on his neck. To continue learning the story of Ivan Guzman, then keep watching until the end of the video. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button. Now without further ado, let's get started. Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar is best known as the son of former leader of the Sinaloa drug cartel, drug lord Joaquin Guzman El Chapo Salazar. Born on June 5, 1983 to mother Alejandrina Maria Salazar, the first wife of El Chapo. Growing up wealthy isn't all it's cut out to be, as he and his siblings were homeschooled with heavily armed bodyguards around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for fear of attack by rival cartel members and pretty much anyone who looked at them funny. On February 5, 2005, when he was barely out of high school, Ivan was arrested in Guadalajara on money laundering charges and was sentenced to 5 years in a federal maximum security prison. Although with his father having deep pockets and government officials on his payroll, Ivan Archivaldo was released in April of 2008 with 2 years still left on his sentence, when Judge Jose Luna Altamirano overturned the conviction, saying the case was poorly presented and lacked enough evidence for a conviction. The judge was later suspended on suspicion of being bribed by El Chapo after he made wire transfers in the millions that didn't reflect on his financial statements. That, coupled with the fact that some of his relatives made large deposits at around the same period, and a string of suspicious rulings in the past, led to the judge's reputation being tarnished. Despite all the implicating evidence, Judge Altamirano denied all allegations and was later reinstated. In May of 2012, the U.S. Treasury Department added Ivan Archivaldo to its drug trafficking kingpin list. This prevents any citizen of the United States from conducting business with Ivan. Banks are equally restricted from offering him any service, and whatever assets or finances he may already have in the United States were subsequently frozen. This of course put a damper on Ivan's drug dealing, as he had to use middlemen to conduct his money laundering transactions. Added to the list was another son of El Chapo, Ovidio Guzman, Ivan Archivaldo's half-brother from another mother. In a comment from the Treasury Department, it is stated that Ovidio plays a significant role in his father's drug trafficking business, as he was affiliated with companies with legitimate businesses, which later turned out to be just a front for his money and drug trafficking activities. Over 1,000 companies, banks, and individuals have been linked to the drug kingpins and have been placed on the blacklist as well, with up to 30 years jail time and fines reaching up to $10 million for violating the restrictions. It's little wonder that companies have steered clear of the Guzman brothers. Ivan Archivaldo is quite the showman online, always making headlines for his elaborate show of wealth on social media. The drug kingpin has an impressive fan following of over 219,000 followers who actively like, repost, and comment on every post he makes. I guess ill-gotten wealth is always fascinating to people. He entertains his followers with pictures of expensive possessions ranging from his €300,000 Ferrari to his exotic pet lion. In one post, he added a picture of him boarding a private jet with the caption, "I distract myself with women, but I'm always on top of business." Ivan is also known to occasionally showcase his vacation trips. Considering the fact that Ivan has so many warrants out for his arrest and the fact that his name is on multiple government watch lists from the US to Mexico, you'd think he'd at least be a little cautious about making his location known to the public. But no, he is not. I guess Ivan is very confident in his ability to protect himself and evade capture if necessary. And besides, we know drug lords aren't afraid to get a little blood on their hands and spray some bullets if the need arises. If there's anything we've learned from Ovidio Guzman Lopez's arrest, it's that an arrest on any of El Chapo's children isn't done lightly in Sinaloa. Ovidio was arrested on a number of drug possession charges, and his arrest led to an outrage from the cartel and a gun battle between them and the police. The gun battle left 13 police officers dead, others injured, cars burning, and several dead bodies piled up on the streets of Culiacan. And all of that for just one demand: to free Ovidio, in an attempt to curtail the bloodshed and violence. The authorities gave in to their demands, and Ovidio was soon released. With almost all of his siblings involved in the family's drug trafficking business, sibling rivalry tends to flare up on occasion. While most of the competition among siblings is mainly who flaunts what online and who has made the most headlines, Ivan is a little extra competitive. His brother, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, is also a lieutenant in the Sinaloa cartel, but reports have it that Jesus Alfredo, or El Gordo as he is called in Sinaloa, isn't half as ambitious as his elder brother Ivan, and although they seem to be on the same page lately, it wasn't always so. In 2016, while at a celebration with his brother Jesus and other top-ranking members of the Sinaloa cartel at the La Leche restaurant in the coastal resort city of Puerto Vallarta, armed gunmen from the Jalisco-based New Generation cartel stormed the cafe where the celebration was being held and abducted the cartel members. Video surveillance footage captures the moment the gunmen enter the cafe with Alfredo in view with the other members of the cartel, but Ivan was nowhere to be seen. Reports have it that Ivan Archivaldo left the scene moments before the gunmen arrived. Coincidence? I think not. Another oddity was that Sinaloa cartel members chose that night of all nights to be without bodyguards and guns, which was very strange being that the Guzmans and other cartel members are always with guns, possibly even in the shower. It was speculated that Ivan Archivaldo knew of the impending attack and, rather than inform his brother and fellow cartel members, chose to save himself alone. Family feud? Possibly. Although Jesus Alfredo and the rest of the abducted cartel members were released a week later after negotiations were made between the rival cartels, so many questions still linger about the events of that night. In October 2015, actor and producer Sean Penn flew to Mexico to honor an invitation sent by El Chapo himself, who had just escaped from prison only months earlier. He invited the Hollywood producer to talk about making a documentary about his life. Sean Penn revealed in his article for Rolling Stone magazine what he observed about Ivan. He's attentive with a calm maturity, Penn writes. With a history of violence and being a suspect for the murder of a Canadian exchange student, Kristen Diel, back in April of 2004, calm isn't the word one would associate with Ivan Archivaldo or any of the Guzmans for that matter. A leaked copy of Ivan's psychological profile from 2005 after graduating high school reads, "Anxious, suspicious, reserved, and evasive. With veiled hostility, he becomes sensitive." With another section of the profile stating, probable psychological violence towards persons that he does not consider on his socio-economic level. It seems even at a young age, Ivan Archivaldo displayed traits of violence, which is understandable since he was raised around bloodshed and brutality. In the weeks since El Chapo's extradition to the US, there has been a surge of violence in the state of Sinaloa. The state's Public Security Secretary, General Genaro Robles Casillas, told the press that the sudden upscale of violence was a result of multiple factions of the Sinaloa cartel fighting amongst themselves for control of the cartel's territories. In the space of a weekend, over 40 people were killed in a series of shootouts, some of which were only minutes apart. In a letter released by Ivan Archivaldo and his brother Jesus Alfredo, they were attacked when they arrived alongside cartel boss Ismael El Mayo Zambada at a meeting called by Damasio Lopez, a high-ranking member in the Sinaloa cartel, who to some was to be El Chapo's successor after his incarceration in the US. The letter says when they arrived at the venue for the meeting, before they could even leave their cars, they were shot at with waves of bullets by unknown gunmen, which led to some of the bodyguards dying on the spot. The letter goes on to state, "We realized we were betrayed by El Licenciado Damasio Lopez, trying to kill us as to end the Guzman family at the root." The Guzman brothers, alongside Ismael Zambada, were able to flee the scene with their lives, but sustained some injuries. Though the brothers believe it was Damasio Lopez who wanted them dead, because he called the meeting and would stand to gain the most if Ivan Archivaldo, his brother, and Ismael Zambada were all to be killed. Some other reports have it that it was in fact Damasio Lopez's son, Damasio Lopez Serrano, or El Mini Leak, short for Licenciado, was behind the attack. Either way, it didn't seem to make any difference to the Guzman boys as they declared an all-out war on Lopez and whoever had a hand in the ambush. The clash between El Chapo's sons and Damasio Lopez unleashed a wave of violence and killings in the Pacific Coast states of Sinaloa and Baja California, with Damasio entering an alliance with rival cartel Jalisco New Generation Cartel. He was suspected to have used the Jalisco cartel to orchestrate the abduction of Ivan's brother Alfredo and other members of the cartel in 2016 at the La Leche restaurant in the city of Puerto Vallarta. After a failed attempt at taking the throne, Damasio was finally arrested at an apartment building in Mexico City in 2017 and was extradited to the US. His son Serrano was the first high-ranking member of the cartel to surrender himself to US authorities and plead guilty to multiple drug smuggling charges. After El Chapo's arrest, Ivan Archivaldo tweeted, "I've got my hand on the wheel. I can't give up the responsibility my father has given me and worked so hard for. The Guzman era continues to reign. I want to make it very clear, there's no successor to my father. Not just anyone can fill these shoes. He's still giving orders." And with Damasio behind bars as well, it looks like Ivan has the keys to the kingdom. With his brothers by his side and the demand for narcotics still on the rise, the Sinaloa cartel is still up and running and shows no signs of slowing down. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to turn on post notifications so you don't miss any juicy new videos. Until next time.